Open economy, macroeconomics. Okay, and this is the chapter 6. Now, before this, we discussed closed economy. So, if you have a closed economy, it means there will be no external sector, there will be no export, no import. But when you have open economy, then you have export and imports. So, in an open economy, we will see that spending need not equal output, okay, because this spending could be on foreign goods. So whatever you have produced, you can spend more, and then saving need not equal investment. So your investment can be more than saving, okay, and it can be financed through foreign saving. So these are the basics. This is consumption, expenditure. So we make consumption expenditures on domestic goods, and we make consumption expenditure on foreign goods when you have open economy. Okay, so we buy domestically produced goods and we buy foreign produced goods. That's why now consumption some so now consumption is the sum of on foreign goods. Okay. So D is the spending on domestic goods and F is the spending on foreign goods. Same is with investment. So investment expenditure on domestically produced goods and investment on foreign produced goods. Same is with the government expenditure. Government can make expenditure on domestic goods and government can make expenditure on foreign goods. So now you can see. So this CF, IF and GF, if we add all, then we will get imports. No? Import is the sum of all these. So import is the sum of CF, IF and GF, because this is the spending on foreign goods. So spending on foreign goods is import. And then we have export. Export is the spending of foreigner on domestically produced goods. So this is the foreign spending on domestic goods. So we are making expenditure on foreign goods and foreigners are making expenditure on our goods, domestically produced goods. And we are also making expenditures on domestically produced goods. And this difference is the export minus imports, okay, net export, okay. So foreign spending on domestic goods minus the spending on foreign goods is the net export, and this is also called trade balance, okay. And now if we don't have external sector, normally we see that we have spending on domestic goods only. But if you have foreign sectors, so the output which is produced, they will be spending by households, so spending on domestic goods by consumer, spending on domestic goods by investor, spending on domestic goods by government, and then spending of foreigner on domestically produced goods, which is export. So this is the breakdown of the total output. Now this CD would be equal to C minus CF. Why? Because from here you can see that C is CD plus CF, spending on domestic good, spending on foreign good. So if I want to know this CD, so this is C minus CF. Same ID would be equal to I minus IF. When you bring this to the left hand side, it will become minus IF. So same is with GD. GD will be equal to G minus GF. Okay. So in place of CD, ID, and GD, okay, we will put C minus CF, I minus IF, and G minus GF. Okay, so here we did the same. So CD is C minus CF, ID is I minus IF, G is G minus GF. So okay. Now we will rearrange. So we will keep C, I, and G. Here C plus I plus G. Then we have plus EX. And then we have minus CF, minus IF, and minus GF. So all minus terms are kept here, and then we take minus as common. So this will be CF plus IF plus GF. Now who will tell me what is this? CF plus IF plus GF is what?
Import.
Import. Good. So I will put here IM, import. Okay. So now Y equals C plus I plus G plus export minus import, and this is the trade balance. Okay. Which is net export. Okay. And then this means if we have open economy, so our national income identity would become C plus I plus G plus NX. If we have closed economy, then we have only C plus I plus G. Okay. So now if I take net export, then net export equals to Y minus C minus I minus G. And then again minus is common here. So we have C plus I plus G. And this is the output. Okay. And minus, this is domestic spending. Okay. This is the domestic spending. Now if we have this, suppose our output is more than spending, then this means export will be more than imports. Okay, so this is domestic spending, this is the output. If output is more than domestic spending, so then this means our export would be more than import, because our net export would be positive, no? So if output is more than spending, domestic spending, so then we have positive net export, and positive net export means exports are more than import, and this is called trade surplus. So we have a trade surplus if our output is more than spending and our export are more than imports. And we have a trade deficit, opposite case. So this means our spending would be more than output. So spending here we have minus sign. So if this negative term is more than this, so we have negative net exports, and negative net exports mean our imports are more than export. Okay, so then this means we have a trade deficit. So when our exports are more than imports, we have a trade surplus. If our imports are more than export, then we have a trade deficit, and in that case our spending are more than output. So in an open economy, it is possible that your spending could be more than your output produced, because you can get the output from foreigners, no? You can get goods and services from foreigner. That's why your spending could be more than your output produced. So in case of Pakistan, what we have situation, we have trade what we have in case of Pakistan, we have trade surplus or trade deficit. Yes, we have trade deficit because our imports are more than exports. So this means our spending are more than our output, which is produced. That's why we have trade deficit. Next, we have capital flows. Okay. Because when you have a deficit, then you have to go for to finance this deficit. Now, how to finance this deficit? So there are different ways to finance this deficit. Borrowing could also be finance this deficit. You can borrow. So we have international capital flows also. Okay. Saving minus investment. Okay, this is net capital outflow. So net outflow of loanable fund, and this is possible when your saving is more than investment, and then the net outflow of loanable fund. So net purchases of foreign assets. So the country purchases of foreign assets minus foreign purchases of domestic assets. So when your saving is more than investment, so this means now you have surplus saving, and then the country would be a net lender. Okay, so it means now you have enough saving that you can finance a domestic investment, and you can also lend it to other countries. So you will be net lender. And if this is the case, when your saving is less than investment, so then the country is a net borrower. Because if your saving is not enough to finance domestic investment, so then you can borrow from foreign countries. So then you would be a net borrower. What would be the situation? In case of Pakistan, we are net lender or net borrower.
Net borrower.
Yes, we are net borrower, no? Because our saving is less than investment. So there is net capital inflow or net capital outflow.
Inflow.
Yes. Then there is a linkage between trade side and capital flow side. Okay. So this is net export that we discussed. Export minus import, which is output minus spending. Okay. This is just we discussed. So then this implies. So we can write this y minus c minus g. Okay. And then minus I here, because if I open this bracket, so this will become minus C minus I and minus G. So I put minus C here, minus G here, and then minus I here. Then what is this? Y minus C minus G is what? Yes, any answer? Y minus C minus G.
In saving.
Yes, this is saving. No? So we have saving here. So this means this is net export. Net export equals saving minus investment. So there is a linkage between trade side and capital flow side. Okay. So now if saving, So the trade balance equals net capital outflow. Okay. So a country with a trade deficit, this net x would be less than nx would be less than 0. Okay. So your then this means saving is less than investment. Okay. So we are net borrower. So if saving is greater than investment, then nx would be positive, and then we will be net lender. If saving is less than investment, then there is trade deficit and we are net borrower. Okay, this is the linkages. So that's why in our case we have this situation. We are net borrower and our trade is in deficit. Okay, this is the situation. But in some other countries, their trade is in surplus and they are net lender. It's like Japan. Okay, their trade is in surplus and they are net lender. Now, saving and investment in a small open economy. This is a small open economy, so then we have some conditions. So in chapter 3, we discuss the supply of loanable fund and demand for loanable fund. So we discuss the loanable fund model, and it includes many elements like production function. In chapter 3, we discuss that output is a function of capital and labor. Consumption is a function of disposable income, which is income minus tax. Okay. And investment is a function of real interest rate. Okay. And government expenditure and taxes are exogenous. So this was our model. And then if we have supply of loanable fund, supply of loanable fund is what? Yes.
Saving.
So saving graph would be positively slope, negatively slope, vertical line, horizontal line in this case.
Vertical.
Yes.
Vertical.
Why? Yes, it will be vertical. Why it will be vertical?
Because
it's constant.
supply is constant.
No, because
It's
saving
constant.
saving is a function of disposable income. Saving is not related to real interest rate in that model. Saving is income minus consumption minus government expenditure. So here we don't have real interest rate. If we have real interest rate, then we can make saving as a positive function or saving as a negative function of real interest rate. Then we can make a positively slope or negatively slope. But because saving has no relationship with real interest rate in this model, so we have vertical line. So saving is fixed. National saving does not depend on the interest rate. Okay, that's why we have vertical line. Then the assumptions. So capital flows. We are assuming that domestic and foreign bonds are perfect substitute. So we have same risk, we have same maturity. Okay, so risk and maturity and other factors are same for domestic bond or foreign bond. Then there is perfect capital mobility. There are no restrictions on international trade in assets, so you can buy foreign assets, foreigner can buy your assets, and the risk of domestic assets and foreign assets both are same. Maturity of domestic assets and foreign assets both is same. So then also we are assuming that economy is small. So if we have a small economy, so this means it cannot affect the world interest rate. Okay, because if you have a small economy, then your transaction is a very small proportion of world transaction, so you cannot affect the world interest rate. If it is a large economy, then it can affect the world interest rate. So this R asterisk is the world interest rate. So with all these assumptions, okay, this shows that the interest rate, domestic interest rate would be equal to foreign interest rate or world interest rate because there is perfect capital mobility. So if risk and maturity are same and there is perfect capital mobility, then domestic interest rate should be equal to foreign interest rate. Because if there is any difference, so because of this perfect capital mobility, uh, interest rate will become same. And in this model, R is exogenous because economy is small, so economy cannot determine, small economy cannot determine world interest rate. So now we have this investment function is still downward sloping, and it's a function of interest rate, real interest rate. Okay, and now here we have world interest rate. Okay, and world interest rate is exogenous. Okay, the domestic economy cannot affect world interest rate. Now this world interest rate determines the country's level of investment. So if this is the world interest rate, so this will be the country's level of investment. And this is the graph. Okay, see, and the interest rate would adjust to equate the investment and savings. So again, the adjustment factor is the real interest rate. So suppose this is the country's interest rate. Okay, and here is the world interest rate. Okay, so world interest rate is this. Okay, so world interest rate will determine investment. Okay, the country's interest rate will not determine. So here, so now if this is the world interest rate, so it means domestic investment would be I1, but saving is more now at this world interest rate. Okay, so the difference between saving and investment determine the net capital outflow because saving is more than investment. So we have positive NX, so we have net capital outflows. Okay. So this is the amount of net capital outflow if this is the world interest rate. So it means if this is the world interest rate, so at this world interest rate, this much saving would be utilized by domestic investment, and this is again there is excess saving, and this excess saving would be used for lending. Okay, so net lender, the country is net lender in this case. Okay, now again if this is the world interest rate, domestic investment is this much and net X is this much. Then the question is what will happen if there is an increase in investment demand. Okay, so if there is increase in investment demand, this investment line will shift upward. Okay, so we will shift this line. Okay, so now this shows increase in investment demand, and this increase in investment demand is not because of the interest rate. Okay, this is because of some other factors. Maybe there is investment friendly environment in the country, or government is facilitating investors through some subsidies or some investment zones are there. Okay, so this is increased. So then we will see this is the world interest rate. At world interest rate initially this was the investment level and this is the net export. Okay, but when there is increase in domestic investment, now we can see that the investment has increased from I1 to I2 and then net export. Let's see what will happen to net export. So this part is the net export. So there is a decrease in net export. So there will be decrease in net lending, no? Net capital outflow. So in this case, you can see that when there is increase in investment, so delta I is positive. Okay, if we take I2 minus I1, so we can see that change in investment is positive. In this case, change in saving is zero because saving is fixed. So saving is fixed. There is no change in saving. So there is net capital outflow and NX fall by the amount of delta I. So there is decrease. This was the net export NX, but when there is increase in investment, so there is a decrease in net export by this much, and this equals the change in investment. So now the new net X is this much, so this is the decrease. This is the decrease. This is the decrease in investment. Okay. So let's go back. Okay. So this is the end of today's lecture on open economy. Okay, so I will stop here.